Hello everyone, welcome to English online class. Today I am going to explain you a English lesson of 8th standard. Lesson name is The Boy Who Asked for More. So this lesson is written by Charles Dickens. So he was born on 1812 and died on 1870. So he was the greatest Victorian novelist. Is known for his attacks on social evils like child labor and institutional cruelty. So he was famous, means many of the novels he has written, mostly he has concentrated on social evils like child labor and institutional cruelty. His popular works are David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities and Great Expectations. Many of the novels he has written, among them these three are very important and very famous. Let me start the lesson now. So in this lesson, this is an extract, means a small scene is taken from the Oliver Twist. So here the Oliver Twist, the extract from the Oliver Twist tells us how Oliver was forced out from the poorhouse. So this is a small extract. Let me see what is going to happen in this lesson. Oliver was born in the poorhouse of a little country town on a cold black night in the winter of 1837. So he was born in a cold night of a winter in 1837. Who was born? Oliver. So he is the main person in this lesson. The lesson is upon this boy only. He was born on 1837 in a cold winter. In a poor house. Poor house means the house which is where the orphans are kept or the old people are kept. So that is said as a poor house. The birth was attended by a doctor who was hastily called for the purpose and by an old pauper woman who was experienced in such matters. So when the birth of during the birth of Oliver, his birth was attended by a doctor who was hastily means very urgently called for the purpose, and the doctor was attended by a old poor woman and who had experience in such matters, means in the delivery cases. The mother died almost as soon as the baby took his first birth. As soon as the Oliver's took his first birth, mother will die, means Oliver's mother will die. She was a young good looking woman who had been found lying in the street. When she was found dead, she was lying on the street and she was a very young and good looking woman. It was clear that she had walked some distance before she died. By looking her, anyone can say she had walked and came from a long distance. And her shoes has been torn to pieces. By looking her shoes which were torn into the pieces, anyone can say that she had walked and came by long distance. And where she had come from or where she had been going, nobody knew. So from where she walked and came and where she was to go, but this matter no one knows in this. The baby cried loudly. So soon after the birth, the baby started crying loudly. If he could know that he was now an orphan of a poor house, it is likely that he would have cried still louder. So here the author is saying that the baby started crying. Suppose that baby knows that mother is died and he is now the one of the person in the poor house, still he may cry very loudly. They called him Oliver Twist. So that baby was given a name as Oliver Twist. Full name was Oliver Twist. They called him Oliver Twist, a name invented by Mr. Bumble, the town beadle. So this name was given by Mr. Bumble. Another character in this lesson is Mr. Bumble. He was a town beadle. Beadle means an officer. Because he could not think of any other, And Mr. Bumble had full authority over the people of the poorhouse. So he was the officer who had a full authority on the poorhouse. And he thought himself a very great man indeed. So by having the authority on the poorhouse, he was thinking that he is a very great man. He starved and ill-treated the children under his care. The children who were in the poorhouse, they were very ill-treated and they used to be kept starved, means empty stomach, means not given the full of the food for the children. So he ill-treated the children in the poorhouse. Oliver's 9th birthday found him a pale, thin child who had hardly known a kind word or met with a kindly look. So like this only years run off, and now Oliver Twist was a 9-year-old boy. So how he was looking? He was a pale, a thin child and hardly known a kind word. Up to now he did not heard any of the kind words, and are met with a kindly look. No one have look with a kind look was also he did not see up to now. And his only friends were his little companions in misery. So only the children who are living in the poorhouse, they are only his friends. But in the end they brought him trouble. So like this only the days are going. But now after his 9th year birthday, the other children who are in the poorhouse, they will bring a trouble for him. They persuaded him to ask for more. So all the children make a group and they will decide who Oliver Twist to ask for more. What to ask more? Let me see now. It happened one evening at supper time. Supper means in the night meal. After that, what happened? The children were fed in a large stone hall with a big metal basin at one end. So all the children daily they used to gather in a big stone hall where a big bowl was kept with a food, and the children used to stand in a line with a bowl. Bowl means it will be like this. Bowls are given for all children. If you are having textbook means you can see the picture in the textbook. So all children used to stand in a line with a bowl in their hand for the food. The master stood by the basin and served each child with a small bowl of watery gruel. Watery gruel means a liquid food which was served for the children. So with a big basin which was filled with a watery gruel, the master was stood there for serving all the children. Boys generally have excellent appetite, means small children will be having much, they feel very hungry, isn't it? So they have excellent appetites. Oliver and his companions were always hungry and never given enough to eat. So not only other children, even Oliver and his friends also not given or fed full stomach. And that evening, one of the bigger boys stated quite clearly that unless he had an extra bowl of gruel, he would most certainly eat the boy who slept next to him. So what happened that night? One of the bigger boy in that group, he will say, why means he was very hungry. So he will say for the other children that today if I did not get another bowl of the food, I will eat who are sleeping next to me in the night, he will say. By hearing that, what happened? He had a wild and hungry eye, so the smaller boys believed him. So his look also very wild. Because of hungry, he was looking very wild. So by seeing his eyes and look, other small children believed him. What he is saying means what he said, he will eat the boy who is sleeping next to him. A council was held. So soon the all remaining boys will held a meeting. Council means meeting. Oliver Twist was appointed to walk up to the master after supper and to ask for more. So for what the meeting was held? To ask more gruel for after the supper. Who was appointed for that? This Oliver Twist was appointed. By whom? By all the remaining boys or children. The gruel was served out and was quickly swallowed. Soon after the food was served, within no time they have swallowed it. The boys whispered among themselves and forced Oliver to go. Now already the meeting was held and Oliver Twist was appointed to ask for more gruel. So now soon after the supper, the remaining boys will force Oliver to go and ask. He advanced to the master, bowl in hand, and said in a little frightened voice, "Please, sir, I want some more." So by frightening Oliver Twist, holding his bowl in hand, he will forward near the master and he will ask for what he will ask. "Please, sir, I want some more." The master was a fat, healthy man, but he turned very pale at this. "What?" he said. As he could not believe his ears, "Please, sir, I want some more." By hearing these words, master will become very angry. Up to now, no child was asked like this. By hearing the voice of the Oliver, "Please, sir, I want some more," he will become angry and he will ask, "What?" And for that reply, again Oliver Twist will say, "Please, sir, I want some more." The master aimed a blow at his head. Soon the master, what he will do? He will beat upon the Oliver head, seized him by his arms. He will catch Oliver with his arms and shouted for the beadle. Beadle means here Mr. Bumble. He started shouting Mr. Beadle here. Mr. Bumble rushed into the room in great excitement. By hearing the voice of the master, Bumble will rush and come to the hall with excitement. What has been happened, and was filled with horror when he heard of Oliver's crime. So here Bumble also will become very horror by hearing the master said that about the Oliver Twist that he has asked for the more. "Ask for more," he exclaimed, "and I never heard of such a thing. Depend on it, this miserable boy will be hung." So here Bumble will become very angry and he will say, "Up to now no one have asked like this. Because of this, he will get a punishment that he will be hung." As a punishment for this greed and boldness, Oliver was immediately locked in a room to spend the night alone. So Bumble, what the punishment will give for the Oliver Twist? He will make Oliver Twist to sleep alone in a night, in a dark night, in a room, in a separate room, alone. And early next morning, a notice was pasted on the outside of the gate. Next morning, what the Bumble will do? He will paste a notice outside the gate, offering a reward of £5 to any man or a woman who would take Oliver Twist off the hands of the poorhouse. So punishment not only giving to sleep Oliver Twist alone in the dark room. Again he will offer a reward of £5 for whom? Who will take Oliver Twist out of the poorhouse, maybe a man or a woman. So this was the punishment given by the Mr. Bumble to Oliver Twist. So this is a small extract which was written by Charles Dickens. I think you have understood the lesson. Thank you children. Go on studying.